Hello, welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry again. I'm Mr. Paul and today's recipe is for English muffins. It's a bread dough, but you don't need an oven to make it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, leave a comment and don't forget to go to my Patreon page and help support the channel. Thank you. Let's get on with it. So here we have the ingredients for the English muffins. We have 300 grams of bread flour, that's strong bread flour, not all-purpose or plain flour. We have 170 grams, I've weighed the milk, it's 170 grams of milk. It's 6 grams of salt, 6 grams of dry active yeast, 15 grams of sugar. Now when I mention sugar in any of my recipes, it just means any white sugar. If it needs caster, I will mention it. If it needs icing sugar or confection sugar, I will mention it. If it's just sugar, it's any white sugar. I got 15 grams of butter, that's unsalted or salted, it makes no difference. And 1 medium egg. Now here, what I've got in this dish is some semolina. Now you don't have to use semolina. Some people use semolina, some people use grits in America, some people use ground rice. In the bakery we use what's called rice cones, which is a bit like ground rice, and it's placed on the baking sheet just to hold the dough away from the surface of the baking sheet a little, but it's not necessary. You can just use flour if you want. I'll come to that when we do the baking. So there are the ingredients for the muffins and we'll get on with the making of them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the flour to the mixing bowl. Also I'm going to add the yeast and the sugar. And I'm going to give that a very quick mix just to distribute the yeast and the sugar in the flour. Make a little well in the middle. Now before I started doing that, I put the milk in a small saucepan. I added the salt and I just heated it up slightly until the salt was dissolved. Okay, like that. So that goes to one side. Now in here I'm going to add the butter and the egg. Followed by the milk, which has the salt dissolved into it. It's not hot, it's only just blood heat, okay? Just body temperature. Now we're going to mix that slowly first. And once these bits and pieces are distributed, mix nicely. I'm going to turn the mixer to a higher speed and knead it for about 10 minutes. It's nice and stretchy now, can you see that? Oh, there we are. Now we need to transfer this to a lightly greased bowl. A lightly greased bowl, and then move that out of the way. Oh, what easy. There we are. Just lightly grease your fingers. just lightly. And we're going to take this out into a bowl, because we've got to leave this now to rise for about an hour. So there we are. Leave that to rise for about 1 hour, and I'll cover it with cling film, and I'll be back to see you shortly. Okay, here is the dough. It's been rising now for 1 hour. Remove the cling film. And we need to place that onto a floured surface. Now don't expect this to be a nice round form portion of dough like an ordinary bread dough. It's going to be sticky and it's going to be very soft. So now we need to roll out the pastry, flour the pin a little, and we need to roll this to about probably 3/4 of an inch thick. I think that should be okay, and we're going to cut out just with an ordinary cookie cutter or whatever you want to call them. Now, depending on the size of cutter you use, of course, will determine how many you get from this. So I'm going to remove the excess dough, and these are going to go onto a baking sheet which I've floured, and I'm just putting a little bit of the semolina on. You can use ground rice or anything like that, only flour if you haven't got anything else, and we're going to place those onto the tin. Sorry about that. Onto the tin, because we've got to let them rise again now for about 30 minutes. Space them out because they do spread a little bit. I'll do the rest of the dough and then we'll carry on with the rest of it. Here we have the muffins all cut out, and we're going to leave those now to rise for another 30 minutes. So I'll see you then. Now they've been rising for about 30 minutes, 28-30 minutes. They're all ready to go. I've got a heavy bottom frying pan. You can use a griddle plate if you've got one. I have one, but I can't be bothered to get it out just now. So I'm using a pan which most people have, and it's a dry pan. A dry pan, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the either flour or a little bit of the semolina in the bottom there, and then we're going to put in the muffins. 1, 2. Now I can't stress strongly enough, this pan is on a very, very low heat. A very low heat, you can hardly see the flame. And they need to sit there now without touching them for about 7 minutes on the first side. Right, now the 7 minutes is up. We'll have a look and see if that's perfect. That's just a nice colour on the base there. We don't want them too brown and we don't want them too pale. Turn them over. Try not to let them touch, because sometimes they spread a little bit and they might stick together. So now we'll leave them untouched again for another 7 minutes. Right, the other 7 minutes is up now. We'll just have a look and see what they're like the other side. Lovely. So we can lift them out, put them onto a rack. They're as light as a feather, and there we can let them cool now until they're ready to eat. Well, here we are, the finished product. They're beautiful looking and they're as light as a feather. You see that? It's absolutely gorgeous. Now you can eat them as they are if you wish, with some butter or some jam or a bit of cheese or whatever you want. But traditionally they're split into and toasted, served at breakfast with butter, marmalade, sometimes with eggs like eggs Benedict or scrambled eggs, things like that. They are very, very versatile. They're not sweet, they're just an ordinary bread dough and they go with almost anything. So if you've enjoyed this video, please go below and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button and at the side you'll see a little bell icon. If you click on that, it'll tell you every time I put up a new video. You won't miss one. If you have any comments, you can leave those underneath the video as well. So this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now and I'll see you next time.